All right, today we're going to break down the incredible story of a trader named Dylan O'Neill. We're going to trace his journey all the way from being a struggling college kid to landing a seat on a professional proprietary trading floor on Wall Street. It's a fantastic story about failure, about persistence, and most importantly, about those critical mindset shifts that really separate the amateurs from the pros. Let's get into it.
So it all really starts with a question that honestly stumps most people. In these super high-stakes worlds like finance, the best opportunities, well, they're not on LinkedIn. They're not advertised. So how in the world do you get your foot in a door that you can't even see?
And yeah, Dylan says it himself. The world he wanted to get into is super secretive. You're not just going to stumble upon these job openings on Indeed. So right away, you know this isn't going to be your typical career story. This is about forging a completely different kind of path.
So where did this all begin? Well, every journey has that initial spark, right? For Dylan, the dream of Wall Street didn't come from some fancy finance class. Nope. It came from a chance encounter in a college dorm that made the impossible suddenly seem, well, possible.
It was kind of a classic call to adventure moment. He meets this other student, Carmine, who wasn't just hitting the books. He was actively day trading right there from his dorm room. The minute Dylan saw that 3-monitor setup, a light bulb went off. He thought, wait a minute, if this guy can do it, why can't I?
And the motivation here, it was crystal clear. On one hand, you had Dylan literally busting his butt at a construction job, shoveling snow to make $100 for a full day's work. And on the other hand, there's Carmine posting on Twitter that he just made $200 on a single trade in 15 minutes. That contrast, man, that was all the fuel he needed to get started.
But as you can probably guess, that initial motivation, it slammed headfirst into a pretty brutal reality. The first couple of years were not a highlight reel. They were a total trial by fire filled with some major setbacks.
So year one, he's trading penny stocks. He ends the year at break even, which, for a new trader, is actually a huge victory. Most people just lose money. But year two was a total disaster. He switched over to options trading, didn't really understand them, and it led to what he called death by 1,000 cuts. Just one small loss after another until there was nothing left.
In fact, during that second year alone, he blew through 3 separate trading accounts. 3. Think about that. He funded an account, lost it all. Funded another, lost it all. And did it a third time.
He was completely trapped in this brutal cycle. While all his friends were out there getting internships, building their resumes for the real world, Dylan was working construction and catering gigs on the weekends just to scrape together enough cash to fund his account, only to lose it all over again. You could imagine the self-doubt was just immense.
Okay, so this is the turning point. This is where everything changed. After failing over and over again, Dylan knew something fundamental had to shift. He realized the problem wasn't about finding some magical new strategy. It was about totally rebuilding his mindset and his entire process from the ground up.
The first, and maybe the most crucial change, was this. He stopped outsourcing his thinking. He completely abandoned that amateur approach of just waiting for trade alerts from other people and blindly following them. Instead, he committed to becoming 100% self-sufficient. It was his ideas, his plans, his responsibility.
So he got serious. He built an actual, professional process. He started writing out a pre-market plan by hand every single morning. And he made a rule. He would only trade the setups that were on that plan. No more impulsive chasing. This forced him to focus on managing his trades properly instead of just trying to find the perfect entry.
And this led him to a core insight, and this is so important. He realized you can have a pretty average entry strategy, but if you combine that with really disciplined trade and risk management, you'll go so much further. In the end, how you manage a trade is everything.
So, okay, he's got this new mindset, this new professional process. Now what? Well, the next step wasn't filling out a job application. Oh no. It was this incredible winding road of networking, a little bit of luck, and just pure, stubborn persistence.
I mean, just look at this path. It's wild. It all starts with a chance conversation with an old manager from a restaurant job. That connection leads him to a professional trader who lets him come in and shadow him. That connection then gets him in touch with the firm's head trader, and for the next full year, Dylan just sends him his trade ideas. Every day, unsolicited.
And get this, for that entire year, this is the only feedback he got. Just one-word replies. Thanks. Cool. Okay.
Can you imagine the mental fortitude it takes to keep sending high-quality work into a black hole like that, day after day, for months on end, with zero encouragement?
Then, one day, out of the blue, the phone rings. It's the head trader offering him a job, and this was the reason why. It wasn't his finance degree, it wasn't his grades, it was his relentless persistence and his proven ability to show, not just tell, that he could add real value.
But look, getting the job is one thing. Now he had to actually perform, and that meant facing a whole new set of challenges, starting with the immense psychological pressure of trading other people's money. And we're talking about a lot of money.
The leap was just massive. Think about it. He goes from managing his own $12,000 account to suddenly being responsible for a $150,000 account. Psychologically, that's a completely different universe.
So, how'd he handle it? He was smart. He didn't just jump into the deep end. He started by trading really small sizes on that big account, just to build up a cushion of profit. That cushion gave him the psychological comfort he needed to then slowly, systematically increase his risk. And if at any point the swings felt too intense, he'd just scale right back down, slow and steady.
And this is really cool. It led him to develop his own personal rule of thumb for risk, which he calls the position sizing test. It's a simple question. Can you lose 9 trades in a row and still manage that 10th trade with perfect discipline? If the answer is yes, then you found a solid amount to risk.
And that really brings us to our final thought. Dylan's whole journey shows that his success came from identifying his own flaws, whether it was relying on others or just trading impulsively, and then systematically fixing them. So the question to leave you with is this: what is the single biggest flaw holding back your performance, and what's your plan to fix it?